Welcome, Bulldog fans. And no, you can tell we're not at Scott Field or on the Mississippi State campus, but we are downtown Starkville. And Steve, not only are we here for, as always, promote your literary efforts, books on sale here at the Bookmark, across the street, a week from tonight, you've got a big deal going here in downtown Starkville. Before we start talking about this weekend's game, tell us about next weekend's Rock Fest in Stark Vegas.
Well, it's Rock Vegas, actually, and it's going to be a good time. Lillian Axe, a band that's been very special to me all of my life, will play Starkville for the very first time, which is ironic because Steve Blaze, the founder and really the talent in the band, no disrespect to anybody, he writes all the songs, and Steve married a Mississippi State graduate from Noxapater, Mississippi, and she actually worked for the university for a while. They had a home here up until a couple of years ago, so Starkville's a special place. And the State Palace Theater is a historic venue, and so I thought no better place to do it than there, and it's now Hopi's on Main, and so tickets are still on sale. There's about 100 left. We do expect to sell out, but what we've had this week is a lot of very generous Bulldog fans that have said, hey, Steve, I want to buy tickets to give to students, and when we get done with this video, I'll be printing tickets to go bring to 2 student organizations on campus, including the staff of the Reflector, because we want to support local writers. We want to support young writers and kind of give them a night out on behalf of some great Bulldog fans.
As someone who got his own start on the Reflector many years ago, no, I'm not about to tell you how many years ago, but yes, I certainly appreciate that because newspapers of all sorts are struggling, campus newspapers along with that. So this is an excellent move to get them involved and maybe also get them tied into Gene's Page and Dog's Fight as well. But the main thing is, this is also, and let's stress this to you fans out there, another reason to help is not just because you owe Steve the favors for all his writing and coverage. This is for Mississippi State and name, image, likeness to the Bulldog Initiative.
It is, and Charlie Winfield has just done a tremendous job with this. And that's the thing too, is in the beginning, I feel like there was a good plan in place. It just didn't work out the way we had hoped. But Charlie's kind of taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, and really of his own volition and time. And I can't begin to imagine how it's impacted his own work. But the reality of it is every dime from official ticket sales and official merchandising sales goes to the Bulldog Initiative, which helps Charlie Winfield and that staff aid in the betterment of Mississippi State student athletes, name, image, and likeness deals. And here's the thing, David. I was kind of a reluctant convert to all this because I thought, it didn't go out the way it was intended. But we're here now. And if we do what we've always done, we won't always get what we've always gotten because we're going to fall farther behind.
Well, I'm the most traditionalist of the bunch, obviously. But I can tell you that I have come around to the fact that name, image, and likeness is absolutely real, combined with the transfer portal. Mississippi State legally within state of Mississippi laws, not just the NCAA, which is increasingly irrelevant, but the state of Mississippi laws and how the restrictions on NIL have to be done by quasi-outside agencies like the Bulldog Initiative. So this is your way, Bulldog fans, to help out until the landscape changes, the rule changes. If you want to help, besides buying tickets to Bulldog games, supporting the Bulldog Club, here is a great way to do it through name, image, likeness with the Bulldog Initiative. And to hear a darn good couple of bands in the process, yes, including a couple of young Mississippi bands.
It's true. Twist is a band from Central Mississippi, and Four Way Stop is a really great up-and-coming Southern rock band. I went and saw them last weekend in Baton Rouge, and a lot of Bulldogs in that band too, which doesn't hurt. But those guys are great. So you're going to have a multi-generational show, and that was part of the impetus behind this, David, is not just to raise money for NIL. And not just to bring Lillian Axe to Starkville, but to re-energize the rock scene in Mississippi. So we're going to have a couple of up-and-coming Mississippi bands that are there. And yeah, that's the thing, too. If you don't want to go to the show, you can buy tickets, donate them back to me, and I will get them in the hands of some very deserving Mississippi State students that could get a night out and have a little fun.
All right, Steve uttered those awful words, Baton Rouge. We're not going to talk too much about last week's game, other than the fact that it was a victory well within Mississippi State's grasp. They more or less lost it by not winning in the first half when it was certainly there from the taking. Just things seem a little bit off, offensively, defensively, kicking game again. But it's disappointing because you don't get a lot of opportunities and State let that one slip away. All right, without looking ahead to SEC season the rest of the way, Bowling Green coming to town tomorrow. This is a team that Mississippi State not only needs to beat decisively, but to work on some things that, Mike Leach has used the word inconsistent. Will Rogers, inconsistent. When Nate Watson talking to him, they all say the same thing. Tomorrow is a game to work on consistency, and I mean in a good sort of way.
It is, and David, that's the thing too, is Bowling Green's coming in here. They're not going to lay down, and we found out earlier that Coach Scott Loeffler will not be with the team, whatever advantage that leads. I mean, any team without a head coach is got a bit of a disadvantage. But the reality of it is, David, is most people expected us to be 3-1 after this weekend. So everything that is still expected of this team is still on the table. But you don't need to go out and struggle against a team like Bowling Green that did upset Marshall last week. Marshall, 3 turnovers in Bowling Green territory that allowed the Bowling Green Falcons to kind of hang around. State needs to just come out fast, and then maybe that third drive, it's that second half that you turn it over to the young kids and build some depth. Give these younger guys some reps.
And that's a fine line. We talked about it this week with Coach Matt Brock, and he spoke for all the staff and saying, yes, you want to keep your best players on the field, especially when games are in context. But you've got to start developing those. In his own case, Deshaun Page, linebacker. Right now, we've got plenty of receivers playing, but we need to start getting some younger offensive linemen on the field, too. Need to get some of those backup defensive linemen. And by the way, you broke the news yesterday, Jordan Davis is expected back for this weekend's game. So the defense really should come out there against a team that's struggling to move the ball and make a statement immediately.
They should. And what's interesting, too, Bowling Green, despite the fact they played UCLA, they played Eastern Kentucky, a game they lost in 7 overtimes, and they played Marshall, who was the toast of college football a week ago after upsetting Notre Dame. They haven't thrown an interception this year. They've protected the quarterback well. They've only allowed 4 sacks, 2 of those last weekend. And so this is a veteran team, even though from a talent standpoint, Mississippi State maybe should out-talent them, but this is not a team that gives you an awful lot. So State's going to have to go out there and play to the best of their abilities. But you mentioned, David, it's not just about winning the game.
Correct.
It's putting some style points together and then kind of proving that maybe last weekend was just a bump in the road.
And to develop that kind of consistency, because they're going into a couple of SEC games. I know I'm breaking my promise already and not talking ahead SEC ball, but frankly, the Bulldogs should take care of business tomorrow without a whole lot of trouble. You want to come out healthy, but you've got to come out with a sense not just of consistency and stability, but now here's what we're good at, here's what we can do, and to attack a Texas A&M team that quite frankly looks very vulnerable as well, an Arkansas team that's playing Texas A&M tomorrow, so we kind of get a scouting report after our game is over. Those are games that Mississippi State has on the home field. They were not favored in the early season. I really think those are good, favorable matchups for the Bulldogs if they play the kind of game they've shown when they're good against Arizona and LSU.
Yes, and there's also some grace in the schedule, too. That A&M Arkansas game will be a very physical ball game. Arkansas basically kind of following the Dan Mullen model, spread you out, run the power running game, run some quarterback power. That A&M defense is legit. I don't know if they've gotten enough credit. I mean, they've only allowed a handful of points, but that offense is kind of scary. And so you get these two teams to get together that can kind of beat each other up, and we do think that'll be a bit of a meat tenderizer game. And then next week, Arkansas plays Alabama. So what kind of shape will they be in after 2 very physical games when they arrive at Scott Field? And so State just needs to take care of business, allow the grind of the SEC schedule to help them a little bit, and put themselves in a position to go 3-0 in its homestand.
So, yes, we're playing Bowling Green tomorrow night, and tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. kickoff. Steve and I will not be talking pregame, but we'll have a lot to talk about after the game, obviously. Our whole Gene's Page staff will be reporting on the events of the game, leading up, also recruiting going on as well, and then start looking forward to SEC season. But again, we're going to put in a plug. Remember, give us another plug here. A week from Friday night, it's time to rock in Starkville.
It is Rock Vegas, and the links are all over my social media. If you don't have it, send it to me. And you can buy the tickets if you want to gift them back. Email them to me, the confirmation email at srobertson@genespage.com, and then I will hand those out next week. As I mentioned, we're leaving here shortly to go deliver some tickets to some college students that are awfully happy and very grateful for some very generous Bulldogs that have come through and is paying their way to what I expect to be a very, very exciting night.
So make your plans to be here next weekend, but first, be here tomorrow if at all possible, or certainly be tuning in, and most definitely follow our coverage on genespage.com for how Mississippi State will defeat Bowling Green and what we think going into the Texas A&M game. We'll have the full wrap-up there, and then enjoy the rest of your weekend. But until then, for Steve Robertson and the rest of our Gene's Page staff, I'm David Murray here in downtown Starkville, getting ready for a home game weekend, the first of 3 home games on Scott Field. Be here if you can. Watch us if you can.